This video takes you through all the prep work, supplies, setup, guide, and rules of my paint war so you can host one as well. Hi, I'm Bethany, and go ahead and send this video to the people you will be inviting to your paint war so they know exactly what to expect. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Students should bring a modest paint war undershirt to wear under the war t-shirt that will be provided at the war. Paint war shorts or pants, full change of clothes for after the war. You can be barefoot or wear shoes that will get painted, but flip-flops and Crocs are not recommended because of how slippery it will be. Or a head covering if you want. Paint might stain if it's not washed off immediately, especially for very light colored hair. Note to parents, if you have any requests or concerns about the paint war, please let your host know before the day of the paint war so they can be prepared. Supplies provided and are already prepared by the host are white t-shirts with targets that are rubber bands and 2 safety pins with little gatherings to assure the rubber band does not come off. 4 staggered on each shirt. Put names on all the shirts before the paint war so you know whose is whose. Scrap boxes to hide behind from your local hardware stores. We just used old lawn chairs and duct tape and boxes that weren't quite big enough. You'll need acrylic craft paint or washable paint. Craft paint will stain, but it makes really cool shirts. Washable paint will not make really cool shirts. It's important that the paint is watered down but not so runny that it doesn't stay on surfaces. Test out the consistency on a spare piece of cardboard and do your best to make sure the consistency of the 3 colors of paint are equal. Color theory, don't pick colors opposite each other on the color wheel or they will make brown, and stay away from red because it looks like blood. For teams of 7 people on each, we had a Rubbermaid bin that had about 2 inches deep of paint, and then we added 5 inches of water and stirred it up. If you have more students participating in your paint war, you will need more paint. You'll need trash cans or bins for paint, 1 per team, plus a bucket if you're going to have stationary paint war participants. These water gun pencil things, I'm not exactly sure what they're called, but you can find them at the dollar store, which is where I got most of my supplies. You'll want several extra guns as prizes for the trivia, solo cups that you'll fill with extra paint for the winners of the paint war to drizzle on each other. You'll want goggles that I also found at the dollar store, spray paint for marking the playing field lines, some giant balloons, poster boards to make extra targets, which I wish I had made some extra targets to put on the cardboard, scrap fabric or old clothes to cover those balloons. They hold paint better than that slippery balloon surface. You'll want a freestanding ladder and a garden hose with water on top of a mat or a surface that won't get muddy. This will be your shower after the paint war. You'll want a private monitored garage space where students can change after they are done showering, 3 whistles, 1 to put at each paint bucket, a speaker with Splatoon music playing extremely loud, and a place to either hang shirts while they dry completely or lay them flat. After they've completely dried, at least the next day, scrub them with a hose or water to get excess paint off. Then wash them, and everyone has a souvenir. Or you can have plastic bags to send them home wet. Here's a picture of the setup of my playing field, and it worked really well. In the center, you've got those cardboard boxes with the balloon targets, and again, I wish I had added some extra targets on those cardboard. Spray a line 6 feet around all paint buckets and stationary players. Then you see the big tubs that have the paint, and directly across the circle is the player that would be their stationary player. This helps that stationary player get in the crossfires more of the other teams because they're going to be headed towards their paint buckets, and that player gets a little bit more action if they're placed all the way on the opposite side of their circle. How to play. As a host, this might be the most important thing you'll need to do. Have the students put their extra clothes, a towel, and other belongings in the garage or the place that they're going to change after they wash off. Have them put that there immediately, not in your house. You'll need to divide the 3 teams evenly. The best way to do this is make a line of girls and a line of guys and have them line up by age. If the teams are not the exact same number of people, the teams with 1 extra person will need to rotate a player in. If you need an adult to help them do that, designate an adult to help them. Then give each team their shirt. Next, give them a chance to put on their team's color of paint as war paint, but tell them not to waste paint. This war paint will help them remember who's on their team. Have some funny trivia questions for the teams to answer to earn extra guns they can use during the war. This increases team bonding before the war. Make your trivia relevant to the occasion you're celebrating or the people group you are hosting, and hopefully you can make the questions funny. Give 3 minutes of strategy time for the teams before the war. If you have students who can't run around or who are afraid, you can have designated stationary players who are not wearing a target on them and are not allowed to be sprayed. They can also wear ponchos, but they have their own buckets of paint and a gun that matches their team. They need to know that when their paint bucket is empty, they are done playing. Each team needs to have the same number of stationary players, so you might need to get an adult volunteer for this so it's even. If you notice that these players are not close enough to the action, move them closer during the game. The first team to run out of paint should blow their whistle and the game is over. Everyone puts their hands in the air and sits down. If you see that people are tired, if it's getting dangerous, or the targets are too saturated with paint to work anymore, blow a whistle and end the game. The judges will then go around and tally up the points. They will look at each target and award a point for the predominant color on each target, including the 4 targets on each player's shirt, and get a winning team. It's not always easy to tell which color should get a point, just do your best. Calmly, each player from the winning team picks one other player to dump or drizzle a solo cup of paint on. This can be their opponent or a teammate or themselves. This will be done calmly and one at a time with the victims all seated in a row facing the crowd. Really milk this thing. I picked a new color to add to the mix, this light teal color. Now, calmly get everyone together for a group picture. Don't forget to get this group picture. Have extra t-shirts and get paint on them for the students who could not fully participate before you let the leftover paint be given to the students for a free-for-all. Especially if you had those stationary students who wouldn't have gotten a t-shirt from playing, they deserve a t-shirt. The remaining paint can be used in the free-for-all with the leaders just saying go, and make sure everyone knows that you still can't pick up the paint buckets or cans to dump and still stay within the paint war boundaries. Place the shirts somewhere to lie flat or hang and dry completely. Rinse them in outdoor water if you are concerned about your washing machine. Then wash them all together and you have a great souvenir from this epic event. Make sure everyone knows that there will be points taken away going inside the other team's paint bucket area, going inside target areas, going outside perimeter boundaries. They will get points taken away for picking up any paint buckets, bins, or cans, stealing the other team's weapons, touching other people on purpose, spraying yourself with your own color, not putting your hands in the air when the war is over, using someone else's weapon, hiding a target on your shirt, spraying other team's buckets or anyone in the bucket areas, and finding new ways to ruin the game in any way. Send this entire How to Host a Paint War script to everyone playing so they know what to expect, how to prepare, and how to play fairly. Don't forget my guide on planning a perfect party. And if you're hosting this Paint War as a cast and crew event, I have a great video on how to make sure that that is successful as well.